Hello everyone, and welcome! Today we're going to be talking about our predictions for E3. It's been a long time, but I'm back here, and I'm here with some friends. First off, we've got somebody you'll know from the last time we did anything about E3, Mr. Country Flyboy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Country Flyboy here.
And a new one on the table, a friend of mine who's been a friend of mine for quite some time now, Mr. Chillenium, otherwise known as Chill.
Hello.
So, without further ado, we're going to be talking about some of our predictions, what we expect we're going to see at E3, and discuss some of the current things floating around the interwebs about new consoles or just new things that are potentially going to be shown at E3.
Spoiler alert, there is not very much this year.
Well, there isn't, honestly. Like, game-wise, I don't really know, but, like, there's so much talk about, like, consoles and different things like that, so...
I thought we already did hardware.
But yeah, so, where do we want to get started? Do you want to just go ahead and get started with, like, the consoles and stuff like that?
Yeah, probably should do consoles and hardware first. They'll probably take up the most time.
Okay. So I guess we could discuss the one that's been coming around most recently, and that is the PlayStation 4 Neo, or otherwise the PlayStation 4K, as it's been called in certain circles.
I was about to say Neo. What the
Or
hell?
4.5, whatever you want to
heard
call
of
it.
this.
Yeah, there have been multiple accounts. It started out as 4K, PS4K or PS4.5, and then it's been unofficially confirmed to be called the PlayStation Neo.
They should have stuck with 4K.
Officially, unofficially.
Officially, unofficially.
The code name allegedly is Neo in-house.
Right, exactly. And this is all just speculation anyway, because nobody has come out and said, yes, this is 100% a thing. These are just, like, credible sources that are saying this is a thing. So we don't actually officially know that it is a thing, but I'm sure it is.
We know nothing.
It is a thing.
Yeah. And if you might notice, the code name for PlayStation VR was in fact Morpheus, and now we have the Neo. So
That's what a coincidence.
So it definitely
Coincidences abound.
seems like that's the theme that we're going with here. But I think, like, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think it's going to be for? Like, what do you think the audience of this PlayStation 4.5 is?
People who
can
can
tell you it's
afford
2 letters.
a VR.
One at a time?
Yes, 2 letters, V and R.
People who can afford that are gonna, because can the PS4 is it powerful enough to run VR by itself?
Not at all. If you look at the specs for like an Oculus or anything like that, it's pretty extreme.
It's
so
pretty
I doubt.
beefy. I know I couldn't run any VR unless it was one of the ones for a cell phone that you put on your head.
Right. Well,
Which even are still limited anyways. Not perfect.
Well,
I have lots of frame lag on mine.
well, there is a thing about that though. So I think the original PlayStation is actually going to be able to handle VR for this one reason. The VR headsets, the Morpheus or the PlayStation VR as it's now called, comes with an extra little box, and that box is supposed to be, I don't know if it's like an external GPU or whatever it is, it handles like the extra power that the VR needs to run. So I think you're still going to be able to play VR with just a regular PlayStation 4. However, I feel like the PlayStation Neo is going to enhance that, make it better, run at better frames per second, which in VR is a big deal. You need high frames per second in VR.
That'll be the big difference for that one, I think, because I mean that, like you said, there's a box, but that doesn't mean like it's an external GPU. It's just mostly handling the motion data from the VR headset. Otherwise, the export of video is pretty much the same. It'll have to be cut down a bit for VR because you have to render more than just what you see. When you're playing a game, you render what you see. In VR, you render beyond that because field of view is much different and it's unpredictable where you're going to turn.
Right. Yeah, I mean, It's going to be one of those things where I think it's going to be, like, you're probably going to be able to play it on the normal PlayStation, but it's going to be so much better to use the PlayStation Neo. And, I mean, you know, obviously it's in the name. If that's actually, like, a legitimate thing that they've codenamed it, obviously Morpheus, Neo, it's meant to be together. Like, that's the entire point.
Together forever.
So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting thing. And, I don't know. Even with the normal PlayStation, it's going to have to hit a certain frames per second. Otherwise, people are going to be throwing up everywhere.
Yeah, they are already throwing up everywhere with VR these days.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of handle the phone one, but even that's not optimal.
I mean, y'all did see the video of that kid from some tech publisher, or not tech publisher, but tech reviewer, had his kid with an Oculus, and he just face plants into the ground. It's funny. Okay. I laughed at that longer than I should have. So to get on this a little bit further, basically what they're saying is the PlayStation Neo is going to be a thing that basically they're not wanting to alienate the people who bought an original PlayStation 4. They're wanting to make sure that those guys still feel right with their purchases. And by doing that, basically what they're doing is they're going to implement what the devs have called a Neo mode, which basically means that if you're running it on the PlayStation Neo, it's going to have like maybe better textures or better frame rate, things like that. But you'll still be able to run it on your normal PS4. The games will still work on both the PS4 and the PS4 Neo. The PS4 Neo is just going to be slightly more upgraded. And they've already made it a point to say that the Neo won't get special things that you can only get in that. Like, the copies of the games are going to be identical except for performance and, like, maybe visuals. Which is a bit sad in a way.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that we don't have like a 3DS.
They've said that, but given the way the gaming industry is, do we really want to take them at their word?
Fair enough.
Well, Nintendo, who's the one who's really done that and kind of ruined some people, like hurt their community by doing things like that. Nintendo themselves are a little odd, so I mean, I think they realized they made a mistake, which is why they need to jump on. We'll get to later more stuff about Nintendo, but I think Sony understands community pretty well. Yeah. I think they want to keep their player base.
Yeah, I mean, because that's just it. Like this is a big deal. The PlayStation's only like what 2.5 years old at this point. It's not old at all. And usually console life cycles are like at least like 7, 8, 9 years before they start going to new ones. And I mean that's changing now. Like obviously the whole console idea has kind of been changing over the years, but to just go ahead and release a new system and go, here, you're going to want this now after like 2.5 years. I just bought my PlayStation 4. Whenever I first heard that this was happening, I was like, well, thanks, Sony. You know, because
I know.
You know, if both systems, if both versions of the game run smoothly enough, run well enough, then I probably won't have a problem with it. My biggest problem is like what we were talking about with Nintendo, where they made the new 3DS, which is slightly more powerful than the old 3DS, and then they release games like Hyrule Warriors Legends, which runs fantastically fine on the new 3DS, but then runs like absolute crap on the original 3DS.
And that's probably what's going to happen.
Like, I mean,
I have a hard time believing Sony's going to have any control over that.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But I just don't want to see that happen because it's like basically they said, oh yeah, Hyrule Warriors Legends is runnable on both systems. You can play it on both systems, and you can. But the normal 3DS one runs like garbage. The frame rate is terrible. It doesn't work like it should. And I feel like I just don't want to see Sony do that, where it's like, okay, well here are the two modes, but the regular PlayStation mode barely runs, but it's still considered running, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Considering the architecture of these new consoles is more like a PC, I think it's easier to set up a lower graphics mode, just like how on PC games you can set your graphics. Mm-hmm. I think they'll have something like that, just that kind of option.
I think they said they were going to do that.
Just a resolution scale.
Yeah, I've heard that certain games are actually implementing now, like a couple of different shooters, I forget which ones, have implemented modes now where it's like, do you want 60 frames per second or do you want the added graphical fidelity? What do you want? Choose, and then we'll
tailor it to that, which I think
only...
I think it's useful. I think that's cool because there's certain people that only want to like game in 60 frames per second, and that's cool. But then there are people that can say, I don't really care if it runs at 30. I'd like it to look better.
The only problem with that with a console game is one of the big appeals of consoles is you don't have the BS of a PC.
Right.
So, are people, one, are they going to want to screw with it? And two, what exactly is it going to change? If you just have a quick, simple, I want the easier graphics or the more advanced graphics, what all is going to change? Do we have better AA or worse AA?
I mean, I think I think that it's cool to just keep it simple for consoles. Like, I think it's just it's better to do that. Just say, okay, here's a 60 frames per second version that's optimized for it, or here's one that we've optimized for better graphics. I think for a console that's better because most of the people that buy consoles, like you said, don't want to have to deal with like messing with every little detail in the game. They just want to play the game.
Yeah, and then also remember on consoles, particularly with shooters or any other multiplayer game, with a console, the big advantage is everyone's on the same hardware and the same settings. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you got people on different settings, for one, it's a lot more work for the developer, and two, you could give yourself an unfair advantage.
But see, I mean, that's just it though. Like every console is going to be the same. Like I mean, except for every of the same type of console is going to be the same, running the same hardware. So there would be no need to really have like that much customizability anyway, because the system is only going to be able to handle so much, and that's every single system. So it's not like my system's a little bit more powerful or whatever like that. Like I mean, except for negating the Neo and the PlayStation difference, just saying like all PlayStation 4s currently, they all have the exact same hardware, so nobody's going to have a more powerful system and say, well, I can bump this way up. I mean,
I don't think it'll end up like that. And I think it'll be, most of that's going to be up to the developers, how they develop that, because a good developer will want the multiplayer experience to be equal for everyone. So, I mean, as far as FPS goes, we'll see. Like something like Dark Souls, where the exact frame you hit things at is even like Smash Bros, which isn't PS4, but another example. Things where the amount of frames it takes for an animation to go through is so particular. Things like that in multiplayer setting would be completely ruined. Any fighting game, I think, would take a hit with like having 60 FPS in the upper upgraded one. So I think that's a developer thing. Sony themselves are just gonna make the hardware and develop and push their own games, stuff like that. I would say, but it'd be up to developers to make it work for their community and their players. And I think that's I think that's good for developers to learn this. There'll be bad ones, I'm sure, but. Yeah. The good developers will see the ways they make it work for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's going to be one of those things where it's like for example, the Vita, where Sony was like, okay, we've unlocked a little bit more. What was it, RAM? I think they unlocked a little bit more RAM, so that if you wanted to update your game to run a little better, you could do that. But then certain ones did and certain ones didn't. Like I think it's going to be like that, where like if you want to take advantage of better whatever, then you can unlock it by playing it on Neo versus playing it on there. But as long as it's not, like I said, as long as it's not to where it's unplayable on the original PlayStation 4, I will be content with it. And I think that's what they're going to do.
We're all going to be buying new PlayStations in 2 years, most likely. I can tell you that right now, because nothing ever goes the way it should. Right. General rule of thumb of life.
So
true enough.
Well, anyways, so we've been talking quite a while about that. So let's move on to our next topic, or our next. Let's just talk about them all. So Xbox, there's been no official word on anything Xbox, although there is like little rumblings of they're going to do something similar to Sony, where they kind of have a slightly more upgraded system.
They are,
or at least the Slim.
If they want the Xbox to be able to run anything like the HoloLens, they're gonna have to.
Right, and they're trying to push now to where they're like, Xbox One is basically a Windows 10 PC, and we're gonna make it that way.
It's a really crap one, but it pretty much is.
Yeah, so I mean that's their big push. But yeah, there's been no official confirmation that of course, there's been no official confirmation that Sony is, but
Microsoft's real secretive about everything.
Yeah, so there's been no confirmation, and I think I remember hearing somewhere that they actually said that they weren't gonna do like a mid release console upgrade, but I wouldn't put it past them at all, honestly.
Now, I do have two things I want to talk about here. I do have one actual prediction that I'm guessing is going to happen this year at E3.
Okay.
And I have one thing I want to talk about that I don't know if y'all have heard about. And my actual prediction is I think Microsoft's going to drop the price of the Xbox One.
Probably. I could see that.
They don't sell anything compared to PlayStation, even though they have better features as far as I'm concerned. That backwards compatibility and all those other games that we want to play, but we don't want to have to hook up the old Super Nintendo or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a big feature, and I would love to have that. One day my 360 is going to die.
Yeah.
And I still want to be able to play my favorite games on it.
Yeah.
And so it would not surprise me if they dropped the price. Plus, how long has it been out? 2 years now? It's time to drop the price.
Yeah.
At least slash it in half. So, we
Something.
can afford it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they'll probably drop the price. PlayStation will probably finally announce whatever they're going to call it, the Neo, the PlayStation 4 Slim, the PlayStation 4K, whatever they're going to call it. They'll probably at least tell us about it at E3.
Yeah.
If not, give like prices and dates and stuff. But it may just be a this is what we're doing, bye. But
the other thing I
We'll
wanted to
see.
talk about was, did y'all hear that Microsoft wanted to toy with the idea of hardware upgrades for the Xbox One? I think what
Oh,
they
boy.
wanted was something like you can do it in home with your PC. You can buy a new card or whatever and upgrade it yourself.
yeah.
But
That's
for
silly
a
because
console.
That's silly because the Xbox One is probably one of the most difficult consoles to take apart.
Yeah, that's
I had thought about this when I was much younger and in high school and stupid. I had thought, why don't they make a console like a PC where you can upgrade the hardware? And then, you more
Steam
think
machine?
about it,
yeah,
the
Steam
more
machine.
you realize it just won't work.
Yeah.
It just will not work.
Not for the audience.
I mean, that's just it. Like, I mean, they're saying that consoles aren't going to last that much longer, and like the Shuei Yoshida or whichever one is the president of Sony now, has said that they don't have any plans right now of like the PlayStation 5. They're not really thinking about that right now. And I mean, but I don't know, when you go right down to a console, the whole point of a console to me is you don't have to worry about any of that. The games are going to run for the next 10 years. You don't have to worry about upgrading your system. You don't have to worry about doing any of that. It's just for the simple satisfaction.
Plug and play.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have a PlayStation 4, because I like my computer, and it's not like you have to upgrade your computer as super constantly. But I don't have a ton of money to spend on my PC, so there's certain games that I can run on it now. But I know that most of like the powerhouse games that come out for PC, I'm probably not going to be able to run. So that's why I have them on my PlayStation 4, because I know without a doubt that they do run on the PlayStation 4. Whereas I don't want to necessarily sink my money into the PC version and then it not work.
And in my case, it's just a case of them not releasing the game on PC.
Right, and then exclusives. I love PlayStation exclusives, so naturally
I hate exclusives. I hate all exclusives.
I mean,
good games should be played by everyone.
I mean, I kind of agree.
Hear that, Namco?
I kind of agree to that point, but the fact that they aren't and there are exclusives, that's why I have a PlayStation. But anyways,
they want your money.
so let's move on to the next one, which is Nintendo's hardware.
Nintendo.
The Nintendo NX, which I figured we could talk about a little bit, but they have announced that they're not going to be announcing like a release date at E3 or anything like that. Supposedly it's coming out in 2017 and not this year, so I don't think they're going to be showing anything there because they've announced otherwise. But yeah, the Nintendo NX is like a mystery wrapped in an enigma. like,
I think it's going to be ready by the
Deep
holidays.
fried in a conspiracy.
yeah, I mean, yeah, conspiracy is right because they've had several conspiracies about the controller.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody like 3D printed a fake controller, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's the NX controller!" And they're like, "No,
Yep.
lol."
It was
But it
like,
was fake. I
what?
remember
We're
that.
looking at this, and it's like, oh my god, this looks terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, Nintendo's always been known for like having goofy, wacky, like they've ignored the status quo of consoles and just went, we want to do our own thing. We want to do what we think is fun versus like what everybody else, like what Sony and Microsoft want to do. We don't want to be the graphical powerhouses. We want to be the one that everybody has fun playing.
And it worked for the most part, and sometimes it fails.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Wii U was an absolute disaster for them, and I feel that's bad. I mean, we have a Wii U in my house, and I don't think it's a terrible system, but they never really found a good use for it. I think it was interesting what they came up, like, the concept that they came up with for the Wii U. I thought that was really cool, but at the same time, they never really had that. The only killer app they had was Mario Maker, and honestly, you could have put that on the 3DS. It would have run probably just as well. And everybody could have taken it with them, so I don't know.
I think they're going to have the NX ready to go by holiday season.
They talk like they're not going to do it until 2017, but like
I think they'll
because
be ready
they say Zelda in 2017,
right? And that
I think it'll be ready by the holidays. Personally,
I think because like from what I've heard. And I think that I agree with this, is that Nintendo's taking a break this year. They're not doing a lot of releases this year. Like, the Wii U release is as sparse as anything. They're really not wanting to, they're really not releasing that much this year. And I think this is the year of reconstruction. This is the year where they're taking a step back and going, okay, where did we go wrong?
They did just get a new president, didn't they?
Yeah, they did just get a new president.
Yes.
I can't remember his name. I can't remember.
It was not Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Well, no. Or Shigeru Miyamoto. But
kind of wanted it to be Reggie Fils-Aimé.
But yeah, no, so I think this is the year of reconstruction for Nintendo, and I'm hoping they can come out of it, because I like Nintendo, I really do. I like some of their ideas are a little out there, but that's kind of what makes them fun. I don't know.
I think they're not announcing anything because they're pumping all their time and energy and money into the NX to get it ready for holidays.
We'll see. You heard it here, folks. This is
heard it here
this
first.
is Flyboy's
we
idea.
We only have 6 months to go, so it's not like it's going to take long to find out.
But yeah, so and that leads me into the next part, which is they've announced that the only thing they're going to be talking about and showing this year at E3 is Zelda.
Yay!
They're going to be doing an entire, I'm assuming a Nintendo Direct, because that's what they do now for E3 press conferences. There's going to be an entire Nintendo Direct on it. It's going to be the only game playable on their show floor. I don't know.
On what hardware?
Yeah, that's just it too. They're saying that
the Mac.
They're saying that Zelda is going to be both, I guess, like the dying game of the Wii U and the new breath of life for the Nintendo NX. So,
and it's going to be Mac only.
I guess it's one of those Twilight Princess deals where it was on the GameCube's deathbed, and then they ported it to the Wii so that the Wii had a title to play with.
I think it was the other way around, but I can't remember. No, that's right. It was GameCube then Wii.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just Zelda though. That doesn't get me excited for this year. But I guess that's not the point. I guess they're. Nope. I don't know. We'll see. You know what? If their Nintendo Direct is at least entertaining, I will be happy. Their last Nintendo Direct
was very entertaining.
The last one at E3 was actually pretty entertaining, and was actually one of the last times we actually saw Satoru Iwata. So.
God rest his soul.
That was cool. That was kind of a neat. That was a nice for lack of a better term, it was a nice send off. Obviously none of us are happy that he died, and that was very sad. But it was nice that he got that we got to see him one last time at an E3, and then him being goofy, and
we had one on him. We poured the 40 out for him.
But yeah, so I think that about wraps it up for consoles. At least as far as I can think, it's been a big year, if not at E3, but just people talking about the new. It just seems like there's a whole new generation of consoles, even though there's not right now.
There will be. I think everyone's kind of burnt out on it too. There hasn't been a lot of hype over this stuff.
Yeah.
Nope.
But anyways, so let's see. Any games that you're excited to potentially hear about? We don't have to talk about the games that are confirmed. This is obviously a predictions thing, even though we've been talking about things that probably aren't just a prediction that are actually coming.
It's kind of hard to talk about games that we haven't already heard about.
Right. Well, I'm just curious, what games. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to show more footage of other games? Do you think they're going to, release dates of other games? What do you think?
I can tell you what's definitely going to happen with some of these. There will be more disappointing news with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Possibly Kingdom Hearts and Shenmue 3. Red Dead 3. And Titanfall 2, which is one I'm actually looking forward to.
Yeah, and I heard that Titanfall
Another
2
single player.
actually is going to be multi-platform now, so...
Yeah, that's that, and
That's
it's going to have a single player. That's all I care about. Because
Yeah.
the fact that it was multiplayer only was its biggest letdown. I remember what
Didn't they
little
tease for a campaign for a while and they just didn't?
Yeah.
do it?
I
That
remember
was lame.
it was this funniest bit of only the 3 missions I ever played in that game. One of them involved an AI character, I guess some sort of leader character, running off in his mech saying, "It's been an honor serving with you," and he goes off to die a heroic death. And I'm sitting here thinking, who the heck are you?
Why do I care again? I don't. That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Who are you?
Well, I think you're right.
More info on your game that you want. What was the space one that you
Oh,
wanted?
No Man's Sky? That's
Yeah,
actually
that's gonna be-
that was actually coming out.
That's coming out before.
Yeah, that's
E3,
actually coming out
so
before E3. So we'll actually
Finally?
Maybe we'll see some release, post-release stuff that they have.
Right.
What
maybe.
exactly is that supposed to be? Because I've seen all this footage and stuff on it, and I still don't know what the whole point of this is.
I don't know either, and I love it. I think it's great, but I still don't understand it
I'm
either.
just gonna play Rotina.
if I could explain it from the best of my knowledge, I would say that it is the most open world of open world sandboxes. It is an open universe sandbox is probably what I would
Whatever
call it.
happened to Sky Citizen
Yeah.
I don't know.
or Star Citizen, not Sky
Star
Citizen.
That is still in progress, and it's
It's been in
delayed
progress
as
for
usual.
10 years. Okay,
I know.
I'm glad I have not put any money in that. Then that
Yep.
thing's gonna be the new Last Guardian.
Well, that's actually showing up.
Yeah, that's actually showing up.
Allegedly. They actually have footage on the PS4. They did have it on PS3 as well, but we can be happy for another year before we realize it may not be happening.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Last Guardian is at least there is some glimmer of hope that it's happening now. But how long
Yes.
was it dark? It was dark for 10 years.
Like 7, I think.
Something like that.
I think
Almost 7. Or yes.
Pretty early on in the PS3 cycle is when it showed
When it
up.
first debuted, and then we heard nothing about it.
I want there to be news, which it's a small studio, so I don't think we're gonna get any big press release news. But I want to hear more information on Yooka-Laylee. I actually backed that, so I'm interested to see if they show anything at E3. It'll probably just be on the show floor, but that's a game that I'm really interested in because it's supposed to be a lot like Banjo-Kazooie back in the golden
Here's
days.
a fun thing.
Oh, that thing,
Yeah.
yes.
Here's a fun thing. Ubisoft, they are not doing an Assassin's Creed this year.
That's right. I heard about that they're going to take a break from that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know. Well, they had
I
the
didn't
movie
even
coming
realize
out.
that they made one every year. I was like, wait, there's another one?
Yep.
What year is what?
I stopped playing
All I
them a
know
long
is
time ago.
Unity?
I played the
this
3
one,
main ones
Syndicate?
plus Black Flag.
Yeah.
I did not play any of the side one because I thought Ezio, his story was fine just the way it ended with 2. You didn't need these other 2 that beat him to a pulp.
Yeah. I want to hear about Horizon Zero Dawn. I want to hear more about that because that game looked beautiful and it looked very fun. I want to know more. So hopefully they'll show more of that. Maybe there'll be they had a demo for it last year, didn't they? They actually showed gameplay footage of it, and not just a trailer, if I remember correctly.
I don't know anything about it.
It's the one. It's the one with it was done by Guerrilla, and it was the one with the robotic
it's the dinosaur
dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It was a
Oh,
it was
I've
the
seen little bits and
announcer
pieces
trailer.
of that.
It looks really cool. I actually really want to try that.
Dinosaurs.
I agree with.
I want that too because that looked fun.
So
That and there was a lot of strong female characters last year, which I'm a big fan of strong female characters. If you've ever seen my list of favorite anime.
So
Indeed.
going back to what you said in the announcements of Square Enix of Final Fantasy VII and Kingdom Hearts, do you think that we're finally going to get any kind of a release window for for Kingdom Hearts 3? It's been they've been touting this for 3 years now. They've been this is under production, this is under production, this is in development, but they have not given us anything more than a couple of snippets. They've given us a trailer. They haven't even really given us that much gameplay footage, honestly, and most of it I think was just kind of a tech demo.
If they're going to say anything, it will be at E3, but I question whether we would get a release date.
Right.
I mean, E3 is
No.
famous for E3 is famous for hyping the stuff that's going to come out 2 years from now.
Right. And Square Enix takes their time when it comes to games. They take a long time. And the fact that they're also working on that Final Fantasy VII remake, that's probably also taking a lot of their time and resources too. And I have not heard finishing up Final Fantasy 15. So they've got like 3 things on the table right now.
And plus
other little things.
Yeah, they got a lot of other things.
Which 15 is almost done, so maybe like they'll be able to focus. Their focus will shift to those. But yeah, 15's almost done. Maybe they'll have a little bit more gameplay footage of that, although it's about to come out at the end of the year, so I don't know. And then I don't know. I think Final Fantasy 7 could be cool. A lot of people are complaining about like, oh no, it's episodic. Oh no, it's not turn-based. Well, first of all, this is a new generation, and turn-based games are becoming less and less, and that's okay.
Yes, I'm glad it's not turn-based.
Like, I'm okay with that. It's if you want to play the original like style, then play the original game. The game is not terrible to play nowadays, and in fact, the PC version and the PlayStation 4 version have smoother visuals. I mean, they're still not the best. They're still like they were, but the polygons are a little smoothed over, and it looks better. If you want to do that, just play that. But then also the fact that it's episodic. Final Fantasy VII was huge. It was 3 discs on the PlayStation.
That was the point I wanted to make.
If they charge $60 a game, then maybe that's a bit too much. I'd say charge $40 because if you're going to buy all 3, that's a lot of money to sink into it. I'd say $40 a pop. I mean,
$180.
They're talking like these are going to be full games. Like I think there are like 3 episodes, and they're all going to be like full length games. So, I mean, maybe charging full price is fine as long as there's enough content there to do so.
The only thing we need to be concerned about is that this is not the Square Enix that made Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Square Enix that made Final Fantasy 14, 15, 13.
Yeah, but 15 actually looks like it could be good. 15, if they fix because I played the demo, and if they fix the frame rate problems and like tighten everything up a little bit, I think it's going to be a pretty fun game.
Tighten up the graphics.
Because the graphics actually look really nice. There was a lot of frame rate problems that I wasn't too fond of. I mean, it was gorgeous. The character's hair bounces and everything was really nice and
can we not get any lightning anything for this? They have been touting lightning,
which is
so hard.
Which is funny because that was one of the worst games that they've made thus far. But
I wouldn't say it was one of the worst. It's just Lightning's not a very good. I mean, personally, I like Lightning. I think she's awesome, but I will be the first to admit she is not the most interesting character ever.
No, and
they have touted her so hard.
Well, I mean,
she is a fashion model now. Apparently,
yeah, Louis Vuitton.
Somehow.
Yeah, I've heard though, like, I mean, I've heard that the last game that they made of her was pretty good, but like Final Fantasy 13 was terrible. I mean, it was like, here, walk in a straight line, now walk in another straight line. I mean, granted, I never beat the game, but I got tired of it really quickly because it's like, here's a straight line to walk down, and I'm like, I have
not played it yet. I bought all. I have Final Fantasy. Okay, God, the fact is there's 3 Final Fantasy 13 games makes this really confusing.
Yeah.
I bought the first 2, Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 13 2, on Steam. Haven't installed them, haven't played them yet. But the main reason I got them was because I played Lightning Returns first on the Xbox. And it's like, that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play the other 2. But I've heard that I'm probably not going to understand what the heck's going on because the story makes no sense.
I mean, I think when in regards to Final Fantasy VII, I think that it's going to be good. I think it's going to be all right. Well, at least I hope so because the hype for that game has been building and building and building. Everybody's wanted one for so long. They've been clamoring for it. The hype is so real for that game that they have to do as good of a job on it as they can if they expect to be successful because everybody's expecting it to be really good. And
if they don't want gamers everywhere to revolt in anger violence.
And I mean, Tetsuya Nomura is the director on it, I think. And I mean, in the original, he was only character designer, I think he was a character designer in the original.
I can't.
But I think they have gotten quite a few of the people that worked on the original to work on it. And if you can do that, I feel like you have a good chance of creating a good game. If you can get some of the original people that helped make that game good. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping they announce more of it at E3. Maybe they'll actually like show off the first episode. Hopefully Kingdom Hearts 3 will actually be like delved into a little deeper, because now they have like probably what we'll get like a full trailer video for Final Fantasy not Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, whatever the blah it is. Stupid
2.75.
Yeah, because they had 1.5, which was Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and then a video for what was the video for? The 258 or whatever it was, the DS game. And then they had Kingdom Hearts 2.5, which was Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and a video for Kingdom Hearts Recoded, or whatever. And now they've announced a long time ago that they're doing a Kingdom Hearts 2.8, which is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which was for the 3DS. Some prologue or epilogue or something to Birth by Sleep, like an epilogue to Birth by Sleep, and then like something else. I don't even know. I'm so confused at this point. The Kingdom Hearts series story is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I love the games. I love them. They're fantastic games. I really do.
Square.
But their stories are just so confusing.
Square, shut up. Shut up, Square, with these names.
Stop.
Oh my god.
But anyways,
These names are terrible. They're worse than the stories.
but
What was it? Birth by Sleep? What does that even mean?
yeah, I know that the names are so ridiculous.
You wake up dreaming. That's when you're alive.
When
I'm
you
guessing
walk
that's what it is.
away, you
What was the
don't
one that
hear
had-
me
it
say.
What was the one that they had a 4-word name, and each one started with the same letter? What was that one?
Dream Drop Distance?
Dream Drop Distance.
Well, you know why they did
What the
that? You
heck?
know why they did that? That was actually really clever.
Oh,
3D, 3DS. Yeah,
Exactly,
but it's still
yeah.
Dream Drop
It was
Distance.
Dream Drop Distance because there's 3Ds.
They
and
could
it's
have
the
done
3DS
better.
version.
ha,
I
ha.
thought that was
Dream.
clever,
I dropped my dream over a distance.
but... Well, the actual trailer for that
Yes.
was like millions of Soras falling from the sky, because, that makes sense.
Yes, this is Square Enix we're talking about.
it's
perfect
Kingdom
sense.
Hearts, too.
Yeah, all the cutscenes, like all the
too.
intro cutscenes to Kingdom Hearts are like crazy, but but
The first one wasn't bad.
that wasn't bad. But it was definitely like over here, no over there, no over here.
Yeah, it was definitely, you could tell it was a dream sequence.
But I mean,
It wasn't so crazy.
but
though.
I still love Kingdom Hearts, and the main games are very, very good. If you just follow, which there's so much story to be had in the other games, but to play just 1 and 2 and probably 3, it's a really good story and a lot of fun. They were like, let's make games for every system. And that's kind of why I'm thankful that they made 1.5 and 2.5, because it's basically bringing all of those games that they scattered across every portable system and bringing them back to their home console on PlayStation so that you can play them all, which I think is a good thing. But
That is a
there's
good
just
thing.
so many of them. But I mean, like Birth by Sleep was good. I had it on the PSP, and the PS3 remake is pretty good. Or the not remake, the upconvert, basically, the HD remaster. And plus, it's Ericus versus Xehanort, which is like it's Luke Skywalker versus Spock. Like
Spock with
Leonard Nimoy was Xehanort, and Master Ericus was Mark Hamill. So that was fun.
That would be interesting.
But anyways, yes, I digress.
Indeed.
Let's move on
Anyhow.
to...
Let's.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I just saw a picture that scared the crap out of me. Let's move on to something I know you want to talk about.
oh,
Jimmy.
what's that?
The Last of Us?
The Last of Us.
2.
Oh, yeah, The Last of Us 2. I heard that might be a possibility.
Oh no.
Mr. Nolan North dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, well, that was actually a while back. He said something about, like, he was working on a thing, but...
He literally said, what was it? He literally said he was voicing someone in Last of Us 2, but he was not going to be in it very long.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, see...
So
Well, he
who
wasn't
did
in
he
the
voice?
first one
Who did,
very long either.
Yeah,
who did he voice in the first
He was
one?
the I guess molester guy.
that's
That's the best way to put him.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
You couldn't tell it was him because he was not playing Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
The predictions is whoever he is voicing in the second one is going to die very quickly.
Probably.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because
Now, I've
his
heard
first character died too.
I have heard rumors that the story is going to follow the guy's brother from the first one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, because he kind of disappeared. That's right.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'd like to see more Ellie because I liked Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie was pretty cool. That's another good example of strong females in video games. I mean, and she was just a teenager, but that was a really good portrayal of somebody who was both kind of like vulnerable as a teenager, but at the same time like
tough as nails, quote unquote.
And just the little like I really appreciated the scenes where it's like she found that joke book and she'd just give like random jokes and I was like, oh, this is great.
Why are the pages stuck together?
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Nope.
In SFW.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I also think it's interesting because Naughty Dog's starting to do this now, and I think it's cool. The Last of Us 1 featured like a bonus like DLC story mission. I forget what it was called, but it focused on Ellie and her friend exploring an abandoned mall.
I forgot the name.
I did see that.
I actually have it.
I actually watched it.
I actually have it. I actually have the remastered version on PS4, and I played the first little bit of it, but I haven't gone back to it because I kind of stopped playing. I need to get back and actually finish it.
It's hard to get
Ratchet
back into
Clank
remastered versions because you already know what to expect.
Yeah, but it was really cool, and I've actually heard that now Uncharted 4 is going to have like a single player DLC at some point. I like the idea of having a little extra story because I'm not as big on multiplayer games as I am on single player. So I like the fact that they're, I mean, you know, it's DLC and whatever, you know, whatever your opinion is on that, but still it's like an entirely new little bit of single player stuff. So I think that's really cool. And
I like DLC when it's not being abused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I really like. I was talking to Chill about this earlier. I really think that they need to take a cue from Ratchet and Clank and do a complete overhaul of like Jak and Daxter, like the first one.
Oh God, that would be awesome.
They did, yeah, like a reboot of the series. That would be good.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. Just take a page from the Ratchet and Clank thing, and you know, not necessarily do a movie, but just do like a graphical overhaul and just kind of.
Although Jimmy would like a movie.
I would like a movie, but I would like a movie that's actually like.
Let's wait and see how the Assassin's Creed movie does.
It's probably not going to. I can tell you. I can tell you what's going to happen. So yeah, Ratchet and Clank movie bombed. Assassin's Creed movie probably going to bomb. Warcraft movie probably going to bomb because people have a stigma.
Oh no! I don't think Warcraft 2 is like amazing, but I think Warcraft 2 is all right. I mean, it's just a fantasy universe. They don't. The way they're selling it isn't like exactly the same way. For one, Ratchet and Clank, they tried to sell it strictly for kids mostly, and that I think, because I just don't think they advertised it very well for kids. Is one of the things. But I really think Warcraft has kind of a wider appeal. I mean, you have a fantasy universe, and for most people who've seen Game of Thrones and all stuff like that, there's fantasy universes that look nice. And Warcraft has a much more storied history than Ratchet and Clank, much longer history. So it'd be picked up more by people who recognize it, as well as being, you know, fantasy, kind of an easy to get into genre.
Yeah, I mean, so, I guess I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, I was just going with the thing that there's this stigma that people have that video game movies are going to be garbage no matter what. And
it's a well-founded stigma because there's only been a handful of good ones.
Yeah. Well, that's just why I was getting so angry because I've heard people reviewing the Ratchet and Clank movie, and granted, these are people that have never actually played, like that aren't big fans of Ratchet and Clank, but I've heard so many reviews saying, "Oh, this movie is like downright unwatchable," and I'm like, where are you coming from? This movie was not unwatchable. It wasn't the best movie, and I mean, yeah, it's not the video game movie that's going to save video game movies at all, but it was not terrible. It was actually kind of cute, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. But I think because so many critics were like, this movie is absolute garbage, that people just didn't want to go see it. And plus there were like, you know, Zootopia is still out and Jungle Book is out. So
yeah,
my fellow gamers, forgive me for I have sinned.
Oh no,
I have placed the Blood Rain movie, the first one, on my Netflix list. I almost feel like I have to because I love Blood Rain I'm a huge
Everyone
fan
loves
of that
Uwe Boll.
series. Yeah.
I still think that like Ratchet names. I still think Wreck-It Ralph is still one of the best video game themed movies.
It's not because it's not really a video game movie per se. It's just a
that's
movie
why I
is
said
based on.
That's why I
games.
said video game themed, but I think it still counts. It still counts because it's dealing with video games.
Who here? What's this podcast that I listen to that Jim Sterling does with what's his face? Hold on, let me look it up because they did the Blood Rain movie in their last episode, which I listened to the other day, and they're going to be doing Wreck-It Ralph this week. Or not? Yeah, come Tuesday, I think. Let's see here, what do they call themselves? The Spinoff Doctors. Look that up on Jim Sterling's website. TheJimCosition.com
Jim.
is the Jim. Oh, let me say it like he does, all posh, like TheJimQuisition.com. And it's funny because the podcast is called The Spinoff Doctors, but each and every episode they introduce themselves as the Movie Boys.
Hello.
Well,
Hello. Talk with a British accent, we will.
all
I'll
right.
talk with a bit of accent.
All of a sudden, I was doing like a golfer, and he's going to do his shot now.
A golfer.
Yes. He scored a hole-in-one there,
yes.
Jack. That was very nice.
Yeah.
Very good form from him. Yes, golf clap for that guy.
So, anyways, the next game we want to talk about.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh,
Come
dear.
see it at the Autel Stadium Sunday. Be there.
Sunday,
Or
Sunday, someday.
I do want to talk about Red Dead 2 for a bit. Red Dead 2. God, I've committed the sin again. Red Dead 3.
Yeah,
Get
but
out.
I don't know.
I'll shove myself out. Did y'all see the leak? There's no info on this
I
other than
heard
this
of it,
leak
but-
that happened this
yeah.
week. This is literally hot off the press. I'll give y'all a link. I have done the Google since I am on Google duty for this podcast. Here you go.
Hit the brakes.
Ah, yes.
This is supposedly a leaked map of the Red Dead 3 area. And two things I want to point out about this. One,
That is not Texas.
no, it doesn't. It looks like it might be SoCal area, to be perfectly honest. Southern California, maybe Nevada or something like that. But
I don't know.
one, that. Two, there's a lot more water in this one.
Water.
Yay!
Did y'all play the original?
Too much
Red Dead?
water.
I
Too
mean,
much
did y'all
water. 2
play-
out of 10.
Did y'all play Red Dead Redemption? Any of one? Or not
Oh
anyone?
boy, I played that. I played that. That was good
I haven't
stuff.
played it. I never did. I'm a terrible person.
Oh, you gotta
If
come
you
over
like
to the house, man.
Grand Theft style, I know. If you like Grand Theft Auto style games,
Yeah.
But in the old Western style, it's really good because it is like if you like westerns, it is a Western. If you want a Western video game, that is the Western video game. It like defines Western video
Right.
games.
There's only. I just want to say, if they make it literally exactly like Red Dead Redemption, there's only one thing I want to see additional, and that is they touted, the typical Western style. One of the main themes of Westerns is how hard it was to live in the Old West. They touted that so hard in Red Dead Redemption, but it really was not that hard. I want to see a survival mechanic in this one. I want to see you have to worry about food, water, supplies, all that fun stuff.
I think maybe sleep at least.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And the fact that I want the horses to not be the fastest mode of transportation. Because who took the train?
I took the train.
I took
But
the train.
unfortunately, it didn't go many places that you wanted to go. So I was always the horses. So
Yeah, it was always
I mean, I didn't
faster to
mind
take
that.
the
I liked the
horses.
horse. I liked riding the horse all the time. It wasn't that bad. It was
just-
neat. I enjoyed it.
It just got old for me really quick, and I'd want to see the horses be the same speed, but not be able to run the way they did, like just full pelt across the map without resting. Do that on a real horse, and he will kill you.
Didn't they? I thought they limited that. I can't remember. I
I
haven't
don't think
played
they
it
did.
so long. I thought they limited how long you could run.
Well, they did, but to an extent,
It was kind of like the
you
7
couldn't-
carrots on Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
you couldn't constantly dash with him, but you could get him up to a decent gallop at basically full pelt, and he would stay there forever.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of thing where you either make it real or you make it fun.
Yeah, but you can put some limits in it to make it.
Which is why Ocarina of Time had 7 carrots.
You can also do it. You can go the route of doing like what Fallout and like what the Bethesda games have done, where it's like, here's a survival mode. You know, they've just recently done that for Fallout 4, where it's like, here's a survival mode where you have to watch all of these things that you have to do. You can always just include that as a mode rather than being the main game mechanic.
Yeah, I just want to see something like that done because I want it to actually feel like the Old West. Like it was too easy for me. It was just too easy. Like these grizzly bears were no threat as long as you kept your head on a swivel.
Yep.
All right, let's walk into town. Oh, I got cholera.
Yeah, I don't want it that realistic.
Considering someone was playing Oregon Trail earlier and killed all his friends, but managed to get to Oregon.
Yep, I made it to Oregon, but I accidentally killed all my friends.
Oregon Trail or Organ Trail?
Oregon.
Morgana Trail.
There's two.
Morgana
Trail. Morgana Trail. We're suddenly playing Dragon Age.
But yeah, no,
Hopefully there's no news on that.
So
they need to let Dragon Age die.
So we're probably going to get the usual Call of Duty, which they have announced that they're...
They Infinite Warfare. I enjoyed Advanced Warfare, but that's because they actually had a good story this time around.
Yeah, now it's Call of Duty in space!
Oh, God.
Wait, really?
They are
in space?
so...
Yeah. I haven't seen
it's in
trailer,
space.
Well, I mean, they did that in Ghosts, so we'll see how well that goes over.
It's in space. And now... only if you buy Infinite Warfare and not by itself, they're doing the remastered original,
That's horrible.
Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare.
How many people are going to play that? Going to buy Infinite Warfare just to play the original? Considering a lot of people who play it now are probably not the people who play Modern Warfare. The player base has changed dramatically.
Yeah, people grew up.
The trailer for Infinite Warfare has been disliked so many times. It is one of the most disliked videos on YouTube.
And people are just getting tired of Modern Warfare, I think. They need to give it a rest.
They need to do what they're doing with Assassin's Creed.
I want to see? You know what I want to see? I want to go back. I kind of want to go back to World War II shooters for a while. I want to see a World War I shooter or a Korean War or Vietnam.
Well, there's Red Orchestra 2. There's Verdun. There's a few others on PC that are World War I, World War II. They're not Call of Duty style. They're extremely realistic, but they're extremely well done. Red Orchestra 2 is probably one of the best World War II shooters I've ever played. It's really good. It's not easy, but it's really good.
Why do game developers avoid Vietnam? I've only played one Vietnam shooter that was
good. Who did Vietnam?
Well, there was a Battlefield Vietnam, and there was also Men of Valor, which was probably the best one, but was so underrated.
Yep. I think we're getting off topic. Weren't we talking about E3 predictions?
Yeah, that kind of.
Yes.
Anyway, E3 predictions. We're not going to have a World War II shooter.
Sadly.
Yeah. Space instead, guys. Space.
Yay.
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'll probably be there.
Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm a big fan of the Mass Effect series. Just want to put that out there. But Andromeda...
I never finished 2. I'm a bad person. I should have finished 2.
You didn't finish. How did you not finish 2?
That's the thing. I got to right before the final confrontation, but I chose to side with Jack to get her loyal, and then whatever her name is, I don't even know anymore, decided she's not loyal anymore, and I didn't have enough points to make her be loyal, and I was like, well, screw this. I hate this. I want everyone loyal, and I just got mad and didn't finish it.
Go ahead and finish it.
I don't have it. That save is long gone.
Oh, God, no. Save editor.
That's the thing. I liked it, but man, that was a lot of time to put into it.
You were literally right there.
I know, but that's the thing. I played through the rest of it, and I actually really enjoyed it. So for that, I'm content. I liked Mass Effect. I really do like Mass Effect. It just doesn't hold me that long.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
There's not much about Andromeda, but I mean, obviously we're not gonna have Commander Shepard.
That's a good
That's
thing.
done. But who is it gonna be? Who are they fighting against? There's so much to show. I'm interested to see where they go.
Andromeda?
There's so many RPG games that I haven't played that I'd like to play. That adding Andromeda to that mix would be a little crazy. But I am interested to see, because Mass Effect is probably one of the best sci-fi universes in video games.
I never played any of them, so.
You can get out, buddy.
Yeah.
You do not have
okay.
an Xbox 360.
I mean, I have them. I
I
have the first 2 on PC. I just haven't played them.
They take a while to finish.
I have the whole collection on both PC and 360. If you had a 360, I would literally give the 360 copy to you, but you don't.
Yeah. I could probably get it fairly cheap. I could probably get it fairly cheap for PlayStation at this point. So
the only thing I don't like about it, and this is more of a complaint about BioWare, is the way they do the DLC. You would think the definitive edition, that's all 3 games in one, would have all the DLC as well, but no.
Mm-hmm.
No. And they do that points-based system where you spend money to get points and spend the points. I hate that.
yeah.
So there's so much DLC that I have not played just because I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some of that DLC is basically required to get the full story.
Wasn't it? Yeah, in Mass Effect 3 they had a DLC that you didn't need it, but in Mass Effect 2, the what was it? I forget the guy's name. But they had an extra DLC that was the lead into Mass Effect 3. And it was that the guy who would what's her name? There's so many names that I just don't remember anymore. But the character from the first one who became the Shadow Broker. That's it, the Shadow Broker. She became the Shadow Broker, and it was her story. Yeah, Liara. I completely forgot names. But yes, that was an addition. It wasn't necessary, but it was an addition to Mass Effect 3. I think that was good. It wasn't necessary to Mass Effect 2, but if you wanted to know more about Mass Effect 3, it's great. It leads you in.
And then they
but it wasn't
basically
necessary.
dropped the ball with Mass Effect 3 with the Citadel DLC, which pretty much everyone considers is required.
Yep.
And I still haven't played it.
Drop
it costs too
the
much.
multicolor bomb.
The Citadel DLC was the big send-off DLC. It basically read like fan fiction. It was written as if it was Mass Effect fan
And
fiction.
then Commander Shepard and Fem Shepard totally made out.
I'd pay money to see that. I'd pay money to make out with Fem Shepard.
I'm sure you would. But is it the Femme Shepherds that, can't you change the face on those?
Yes, you can. You can safely assume that it is the quote-unquote default Fem Shepard.
Okay, just make because you can make Femme Shepard whatever you want.
Yep.
Somebody did a glitch where they had Fem Shep with tie-dye hair, but it looked so cool. The hair was constantly changing colors.
Nice.
I think that's called a mod, but yeah.
No, it was a glitch. They did something in the character creator and confused the game, and the game was like, "Here, have rainbow hair."
Yay!
So, any more predictions on what we're gonna see?
Nothing on Halo, I would say.
Yeah.
They just got Halo 5 out. They may tease a little bit about 6,
They're
but
gonna
Halo
milk.
5...
Here,
Yeah,
They're
there's,
gonna
there's,
milk it.
not, but there's not much to
here's
add
our brand
right
new
now.
spin-off, Halo's 6.5.
I'm so sad. Did you see that?
ODST 2.
Did you see that Halo movie? The one that was sort of the prequel
Nightfall?
that showed the origin story of the Spartans and all that. Good God, that was terrible.
I watched I don't even remember what it was called. I watched the first one that they did.
I watched the animated one.
I watched the first.
You watched the live action one?
I watched the first live action one they did. They've done
That
a couple,
was
haven't they?
Forward Unto Dawn.
Forward
That
Unto
was
Dawn's
the
the
lead
only one I
into...
know of.
Oh, I think I might have watched that one.
There was also... Was it... I forget what it was called, but it was just showing John's story.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking
Like
about.
Oh, I didn't hate it. It was weird. It definitely didn't feel good, and it stopped at the worst point. The end was awful. I feel like they didn't cover much,
They didn't.
but yeah.
It was terrible as a movie. It was so bad.
I mean,
Plus, they called it The Fall of Reach.
yeah,
And
that
you
wasn't
never-
a good way to call it because you didn't actually see the
never
fall of Reach. All
actually
you
went
saw
to
was
Reach.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, you went to Reach to look at to see John standing there going like, "Oh, we're so bad, talking." You're not supposed to talk, Master Chief. Someone turn him off.
Take out his
Off
batteries.
Oh, jeez.
There's a snake in my boot.
I'm reading through list on a GameSpot. Let's see here.
I mean,
And we're amateurs, so we can say we're reading. from somebody else.
Okay, here. How about a hypothetical question? If there is one game that you would love to see at E3, doesn't matter what kind of game it was, even an old game that it doesn't would never come back, what would you like to see?
I'm so ready for this question.
An English version of the Idolmaster series.
Okay.
Ha!
And nobody knows what I'm talking about, but
I have heard of Idolmaster. I don't know that much about it.
well,
Bad.
if you can see my avatar on Skype, that's my waifu.
Unfortunately.
She's from the Idolmaster series, and Namco refuses to make an English version.
Namco we're talking about. They have Street Fighter.
I want to go to Japan, find Namco's HQ, punch somebody in the face, and explain to them just how many people want an English version of the Idolmaster series.
Well, I mean, that reminds me of other videos.
So what's yours, Chill?
Okami 2.
Okami 2.
It'll never happen, but Okami 2. Because Okami Den was not quite Okami 2. Just kind of a mini Okami.
like a little tiny spin
But Okami, because I don't know if you guys have played Okami. I just finished it recently, and oh boy, that game is good. I don't know if it's it needs a sequel, but it was so just the HD version on PS3 looked really good. There's been nothing with quite an art style like that at all. It's unique in that respect, but I don't know. I don't know if there's much room for a sequel, considering they covered a lot of ground, and if they did it again, they'd be doing the same thing, I think. It wouldn't really be much different, but I really liked Okami. Otherwise, I can't really think of anything else that I would want a 2 for.
I personally would love to see Spyro come back as an actual HD title, but not Skylanders. I would actually love to see a proper return to form Insomniac Spyro the Dragon. That would be really cool, because I loved that franchise as a kid, and I really would love to see it come back. I mean,
I got one more thing I want to say.
Okay.
I want to see Pandemic Studios make a comeback and release a Full Spectrum Warrior 3.
That would be good. I don't think the audience is ripe for it, because Full Spectrum Warrior never really took off that much, but it was really good back in the day. I think the audience these days is a little less.
I disagree. I think now is the perfect time to do it, because the audience people are getting tired of shooters. Now would be a great time to have a more tactics based shooter. Especially if you can just pretty much copy the gameplay from Full Spectrum Warrior 10 Hammers, it's perfect. You don't even need to change a thing. It
just
would work.
HD and prettify it.
Just HD. I would change the AI so that the AI can be a little bit harder to go up against, and just try to cram so many more enemy characters on screen.
I guess if I was to talk about a sequel that actually would happen, that has actually some kind of feasible reason to exist, it would be Stalker 2. That's definitely one of my things, where that was a game that really did environments and feelings and tension very well. And it did it with as little story writing as possible. It just did it with the environment. It was great. I don't know if many other places have done that much with their environments. I mean, they have nice environments, but most of it's story stuff. I haven't seen many environments that really captivate me anymore.
Interesting. All right. Well,
real quick, I want to talk about something that I recently learned, and I think this is interesting. GameStop is going to start publishing games. What do y'all think of this?
Lol.
Well, yeah, I knew they were going to do that, because Insomniac's one of Insomniac's new games was going to be completely published by GameStop, and they were going to do physical copies in the GameStop store for I think it's $15, I think, something like that. It's a little indie thing Insomniac's doing, I think.
So, opinions on this, given the history and overall credit that GameStop has in this industry, what do y'all think? I'm sort of iffy on it.
I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, there's always room for more publishers, but what are they going to do with that?
I mean, it basically gives them the right to say, "Oh yeah, you know this game that's coming out that is going to be really popular. It's only going to be in our stores, so we're going to make the money from that."
If that's the only thing it does,
I would hope they would not be that stupid.
Well,
I mean, that's why they're doing it. If you ask me,
this is
so
America.
That they can
we're
have the
talking about.
exclusivity of making a game that they can sell only in their store.
I don't think that's why they're doing it, actually. I think
Okay.
the reason they're doing it is they are diversifying. Because they see that physical media, the physical copies, its days are numbered. And they want to have some way to survive when physical media is no longer a thing.
Well, they do own a PC store. That's one thing. They did that a while ago, but that's not enough to go off of, considering consoles are a much bigger source of sales.
They've been trying to adapt for a long time. I mean, if you go into a GameStop now, it's hardly just video games anymore. It's everything. It's action figures, it's pop figures, it's all these other things from Geek. I mean, it's
Mini Think Geek, considering they own Think Geek now.
That's what I meant. Yeah. It's just there's so many things there. Like it's more than just video games for them now. It's just so many other things.
Okay, well, on this topic of our E3 thing that is this video, do you think they may have anything at E3? Either this year or next year?
When did they become a publishing company? When did they say that?
They did something
a couple
with
months
Ratchet
ago?
and Clank a couple months ago, but it was last month they recently announced that they are doing a full publishing venue with more than just Insomniac. There's a game called Song of the Deep that's apparently coming out.
Yep. That's what I was talking about. That they were doing with Insomniac. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm reading this on The Verge. Let's see. Well, Song of the Deep is going to be the first launch of the Game Trust. Its expected launch this summer, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. They have also enlisted a lineup of studios that include the developers of Frozen Byte and Trine. Ooh, Trine. That's interesting. Deadlight developer Tequila Works. They actually have some decent list here. Do you think they may have anything at E3?
Well,
It's possible, I guess.
Trine isn't a bad game.
I haven't played it. It's on my list of games to get, and I really want to.
I enjoyed Trine 1. I didn't get through Trine 2. Trine 3 is apparently bad, but that's just what people say. I haven't played it. But Trine 2 just didn't keep me honest enough for me to go to Trine 3.
I love that. Well, Trine's a game.
Trine is very awesome. It's a 2D adventure puzzler, but in Trine 3 they went more of a 3D route. Like, it's still from a 2D perspective, but it actually has depth. So think Little Big Planet style in a way.
Yeah.
Huh, well, I don't know. I mean, it's always possible, but I don't know this early on if there's really going to be. I don't know. I mean, Insomniac may show off their game if it's expected to come out this year. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be much. I think it's just like a little thing. I don't think it's like a full big game like Ratchet and Clank or anything like that.
I'd say they'd start out small.
If they did do anything, what would you want them to see or to have?
No exclusives.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, if they were doing it video games for the sake of video games, they wouldn't do that. They would just sell it. They would just develop. They would just produce it or whatever that they're have their fingers in, basically. I'm tripping over my words, but basically, they wouldn't really be involved with it too much. They would just help supply the money and the things like that, but they wouldn't go, oh, we want this and this and this.
Hopefully.
They would just leave it be and let them do their thing.
They handle the marketing. That's just the marketing and the selling thereof. That's what they need.
Sailing.
Yes, the sailing. They're going to plaster it on the side of a cargo ship. The marketing and the selling thereof. That's all they need to do. if I had to think a game that I would like to see, honestly, maybe another Trine game. Well, we kind of talked about games we would like to see later, so
Spyro again.
yeah,
Make Insomniac do another Spyro game. Actually, I don't know if they could because I don't. Technically, I guess Activision owns the rights to
Yes,
Spyro.
they do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you know what though? I just thought of something. Maybe GameStop's got a decent amount of clout with some publishers. Maybe they could use some of their influence to get a hold of some series that have been dead for a while, that games we haven't seen. Maybe another Blood Rain.
Huh. That's possible.
That's good.
That would be good for them,
hire
I would
us.
say.
GameStop, hire us. That's what you need to do.
I think I discussed this. I think I discussed this last time when we talked about E3. But like, I want to see from like maybe from GameStop or from any developer nowadays, is I want to see a shift from the dark, the gritty, the shooters to back to maybe more colorful, more vibrant, things like back from the 90s, like Spyro, like Crash, like Ratchet and Clank, like Jak and Daxter. Like I want more like that. I'm tired of the nitty gritty, dark, and
Yeah, nitty gritty has its place, just not in everything. I think we are starting to see that though, because they announced the new Modern Warfare, whatever the heck, what's that one called?
Warfare, Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, they announced that one, and everyone's like, so.
Yeah.
And plus, you got games like Beyond Eyes that came out last year that was really beautiful, and
yeah,
and,
I mean, that's what I want to see.
The one with the squids. Nintendo's shooter.
Oh, Splatoon.
Splatoon, yeah, that one.
Nintendo always has like happy games anyway.
Yeah, I know it's not much from Nintendo, but
yeah, but I mean that's what I want to see. I want to see a return to form for, maybe not necessarily like the old school, like, because I know that's kind of becoming a big thing with the like indie market, is the old school collect 'em ups games,
Mighty
like
Number 9,
Banjo-Kazooie, things like that.
GameStop would be wise to look into things like Hideo Kojima and people who are leaving their publishers because they get tired of it. They would be wise to look into doing that, to getting some of those people.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely, and getting as far away from Konami as possible.
Yeah, Konami's gone crazy.
Yep.
I've talked a lot about Namco. Namco being one of the few developer or publishers from Japan that I would say I trust. They're not quite as crazy as Konami.
Yeah. Hey guys, pachinko. That's
Hit
what
the
anybody
lever.
cares about, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, GameStop is a publisher now, so that's a thing.
Yep.
Let's move right along.
Yay.
I'm gonna say that it's probably about time to wrap this on up. So if there's anything more, does anybody have any like closing things they like to talk about? Like any big bombs that you think that somebody's gonna drop at E3 or anything like that?
Microsoft decided that Kinect is a terrible thing, and they're destroying all of them. They'll buy them back and burn them in a pile.
I want to see Microsoft CEO smash a Kinect with a baseball bat on stage.
I do have a great respect. I do have a great respect for Phil Spencer, because he plays nice. Like that's the one thing I like about him. He actually just recently congratulated Sony for the a release of Uncharted 4, and was like, "This is you've done a good job, thanks Sony." And then I forget Shuei or I always forget who the guy is, but was like, "Thanks, see you at E3," and I was like, "That's cool." Like I want to see more of that. I don't want to see like game companies being all like, "These guys are terrible, the devil," like I like it when people like actually have respect, and they can still be a little sassy with each other, like when the PlayStation 4 did their like
just friendly competition.
Yeah, whenever the PlayStation 4 did their like, "This is how we share games," like I thought that was hilarious. Like, I mean, I like the sass, but I also like when a company can respect Like, they did that with their releases of their consoles too. Like Microsoft was like, congratulations on your release, and then Sony was like, congratulations on your release. I think that's cool. Like, I think that there can be a competition there without like being butts.
I just want to bring something up real quick. We talked a lot of the big name stuff, but a lot of times there are smaller name people at E3.
I want to see Cuphead.
You want to see Cuphead?
I want to see.
Right.
Well, Cuphead was
Cuphead,
just
that's right.
Cuphead was just recently at PAX, and they hadn't announced anything about it like since like last year's E3. They had been completely quiet, and then at PAX they randomly showed up and were like, "This is more Cuphead," and it looks really good.
I'm gonna go last. What do you want to see, Chilled?
For small stuff?
Yeah, for smaller stuff.
I
That's a
don't
tough
know.
question. I know.
I haven't seen much. There's not much small stuff I know of that's going to be at
That's
E3.
just it, like-
there's stuff I'd like to see, but I don't know who of the things I like. is
Last
gonna
year
be
there was a lot of new people who were real small time. I think you might see more of them this year.
Well, I mean, indie games are becoming
Probably.
a legitimate thing to where now, like, indie games need to be at places
Well,
like E3 and things like that, like these small.
legitimate
people.
as in corporate people are starting to put them in the spotlight to say indie, yes, indie, this is indie, we own it as a big corporation, but it's still indie.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's becoming more of a popular thing to go this whole genre of indie. Like, I mean, now there's just an entire huge like pool of indie games that are just like being churned out like crazy. And I mean, some of them are absolute crap, and some of them are really good. I mean, that's the way it works, Especially, I mean, because they're the kind of games that you can put a lot of time and effort into them, but like, most of the time they don't look as good or necessarily as polished as like a big AAA title, which means that you get a lot of ones that are really good and really, like they work with their limitations versus, people that are just like, I'm going to put out this crappy game. What was it, like airline simulator, whatever it was,
Don't.
SimCity?
No, the really crappy game that was like stolen. It was like stolen assets.
You just described so many asset flip games on Steam. Air Control.
Air Control, yeah, where they stole all the assets and the gameplay was like the worst thing in the world.
They stole stuff from Delta Airlines.
Wow. There was a game on mobile that stole stuff from Torchlight.
Well, I mean, Flappy Bird stole the pipes from Mario, so. But so what's your thought, Flyboy?
I honestly don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, all the small games that were announced last year are pretty much out by now, except for like Cuphead, like you talked about.
Yeah.
Maybe isn't the Yarn one out?
Yeah, the Yarn
now?
one is out. Yeah.
Okay, real quick before we close, I want to talk about stuff that is not going to be at E3. Again, it's kind of counterproductive or counterintuitive.
Yeah, we've been doing plenty of that anyway.
You mean the PC?
Yeah, I just like games that would not be at E3, but you would love for them to be at E3. So, like Yandere Simulator, for example, or Toho, or anything like that. Are there any games like that y'all wish could be there? And feel free to talk about them for a little bit.
Alternative games.
I'm
not going to talk about Yandere Sim, dog. I won't do that to you.
Oh, goodness.
Alternative games. I don't know.
I'm trying to think. Well, like I said, actually, that goes back into what I said, which I guess that actually is null because they probably will actually be there. But like I said, they'll probably be like on the show floors like Yooka-Laylee because they're not a game that's probably going to be like. Well, obviously they're multi-platform, so what platform would they be on a keynote speech? But like, they're not the kind of game that would be like on a keynote speech on like any of the main places. It's one of those ones where it's like it's a little group of people, ex-Rare devs. It's a little group of them doing it, so they'll probably be there, but they're not going to be like super big. But I would love to see that like actually get a proper like in a keynote speech kind of deal.
Yep. Well, I forget what game it was. There was one shown off recently where you were like a slug cat,
I've heard of
I remember that just because the protagonist's name was Slugcat, and I've seen that for a little while now. I've actually kind of wanted to play it. I like those little weird indie platformer things, like Ori and Blind Forest.
Oh, yeah.
When I saw Ori and the Blind Forest, I was amazed. That was a great game. I played that.
I've never played it, but it looked
But
gorgeous.
stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like Limbo or Ori and the Blind Forest or other side-scroller platforms. I really like those games. So when I saw that and the mechanics look really cool, I don't know. I just want to see more about it. I forget the name. It's a simple name. I should remember it, but I really want to see that. So I'm hoping to see that because it's not out yet, I think.
You know, it'd be really interesting. Like just
What?
like an idea, and that would never happen, and it would probably never work, and it's probably stupid. But it would be really interesting if you had somebody like Steam at E3, right? Like a Steam conference where they sit there and they go through like these indie games that are really popular on Steam.
Half-Life 3
I wanted
confirmed.
to bring that up.
Like I don't know how that would work, how that would even be a viable thing, because they don't
Half-Life 3
make.
confirmed.
I mean, they only make they only make a small handful of games themselves, so it's mostly other people's games. So how would you actually do that? But that'd be a really cool like thing to show off, like smaller time games that wouldn't normally get that kind of spotlight.
I want to talk about that, but real quick, let me make the who I wish would be at Steam, who I wish would be at E3 but never will.
Okay.
Are you guys familiar with Toho?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh God, you
everything.
poor deprived people. I wish Zune would be at E3 with more Toho. There, the people who know what that is are gonna know what I'm talking about, and they're gonna be like, yes, he needs to be there. He should be there. He's awesome. And everyone who doesn't is either going to Google or they just don't care.
Fair enough.
But moving
Yes.
on to the Steam thing.
Popular, unpopular person.
I just want to say, did anyone watch the PC conference last year? I did.
There was a PC conference?
Yes.
I remember
It was 3 hours long.
we talked about it. I don't think I watched the whole thing. I think I watched part
We
of
didn't
it. It was
talk
so huge.
There was a
We didn't
PC
talk
conference.
much about it because there wasn't much there.
We did graze over it though. I remember because you were talking about how it was very much like a late night show like feel.
It was like Jimmy Kimmel, the Late Show, which is a format I think would work for a PC conference because PC gaming's just so vast that you would pretty much need a format like that to work.
Yeah.
But it was so poorly executed. Like, it was boring. I heard from journalists that there was a guy front row in the audience of that who got up and left and just never came back. Like an hour into
That's
it.
hilarious.
It was 3 hours long.
That's ridiculous.
And it was 3 hours of nothing. That was the worst part.
Wow.
If there was 3 hours of something, it'd be different. But it was 3 hours of nothing. And like the most that was talked about that looked any kind of interesting was American Truck Simulator.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Everything else was like console games and a couple of indie games I've never heard of and never seen since. Any
Hey,
predictions
that
for
sounds
the
like
PC?
Steam Early Access.
Yeah, basically. And anything y'all would like to see at a PC conference because they are having another one this year.
I want to see them show off. I want to see them show off more of Planet Coaster.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a good idea.
I want to see things like that. I want to see Planet Coaster because Planet Coaster looks amazing. As being a longtime fan of the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, that game looks great.
Those two big coaster games that are coming out, Planet Coaster and whatever the other one was.
Well, Parkitect, but that one's a smaller one. That
Parkitect.
one's more of an indie one, whereas
Yeah, they both need to be talked about because they both look fantastic.
yeah, Parkitect is more of the Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2 isometric view, but still this one's actually proper 3D, but it's still an isometric view and stuff like that. And it's in alpha right now, and I actually like bought into it, and it's got a little bit of meat on it right now. There's not any scenarios or anything to do, so it's kind of just like basically a sandbox mode right now, but it's still fun. And Planet Coaster just looks amazing.
Well, for me, this isn't like necessarily PC only, but I always like the Warhammer series, the all 40K stuff.
Yes.
And there's always been lots of PC games on the PC Warhammer games. And Dawn of War 3 was just showing off. That'll be PC only, I'm sure. So hopefully that will be there. But I always hold that hope for Space Marine 2. It wasn't the best game, but it still did a great job of showing off, a different side of the battle. But it's not likely, but I'd like to see it. But Dawn of War 3, I'd like to see that.
That Dawn of War game, is that gonna be, because in the Warhammer series, their games are usually real-time strategy, right? Is that real-time strategy?
Yes. Dawn of War specifically is always real-time strategy.
Because I kind of want to get into the Warhammer series, and I don't know where to start. I thought I might start with
Dawn of War
game.
1. Dawn of War 1. If you can get that series on Steam, get the gold edition. That's a good way to start. It just jumps you in with Space Marines, who are the basic, most well-known Space Marines versus Orcs, basic, most well-known versions of. That's just from the beginning. They're like, let's have Space Marines and Orcs. Way back when they first made the game, Space Marines and Orcs, and that's where Warhammer is just always humans and Orcs. That's what it is. It's just simply that. And that game does a good job. It's got a great detail, pretty close to the tabletop rules. Not perfect, but pretty close. And I mean, it was just a really big game. The scale is really big. Not as big as, say, Homeworld or other stuff, but it's a good scale. But it's not too big, not too much micromanagement, but lots of intense fighting, stuff like that. It's really good.
Will it explain the lore? Because I watched that
No.
40K movie, and
No.
interested,
No.
but didn't know what the hell
There'll
was going
be
on.
no lore explanation. The best way to get lore explanation is probably YouTube videos. It gets other people to explain lore. Because the games don't do too much lore, they do little just microcosm stories. That's how the books are anyway. They just do lots of stories. Lore, you want to find people who know the codex.
Okay, so it's pretty much a Dungeons and Dragons situation.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I think that's it. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Awesome.
I kept us going for another half hour.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, we actually kind of got back on track on the E3 thing because we've been chasing rabbits the entire time, but that's cool.
Well, that's podcasting.
We tried. Just edit.
But anyways, all right. I think that's actual closing arguments, like final words. Would you like to say?
PC Master Race. No.
Gamers unite.
All right.
Namco, Idolmaster, English version. All I want is subtitles.
PlayStation, bring back Kevin Butler.
Okami HD again, because it's so pretty. We made it prettier.
I just saw a commercial for Burger King, and now they have the guy that played Kevin Butler in that, and I'm like, what? Why? Go back.
I hate Burger King.
Go back to
Burger King.
Why
Can
not?
die.
Go back to PlayStation. Kevin Butler, you belong there.
Well, he probably needed a paycheck.
Anyway. All right, with that, folks, thank you for listening. If you were still here, holy cow, good for you.
They're all asleep. They're all asleep. So
You
wake
need
up!
metal.
RIP headphone users. Anyways, thanks for joining us. You guys are great. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, maybe we'll be doing some actual E3 coverage on what they did, and it'll all be a barrel of fun. So until next time,
Monkeys.
goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.